This research was funded under an initiative of the Canadian Institutes for Health Research called Pathways to Health Equity for Aboriginal Peoples. The purpose of the grant, which was funded over a series of components, was first to bring academic researchers and Indigenous communities together to look at possible interventions for youth mental wellness, and then to decide how those interventions needed to be adapted to work within various types of communities. During our Component 1 research, we had a number of communities involved, including Frog Lake First Nation, Heart Lake First Nation, and the Laurie-Ann Métis group. And in meetings with community members and with elders, the idea of forum theater or theater of the oppressed kept coming up as something that people were intrigued by and saw possible intervention for youth mental wellness. Consequently, for our Component 2 research, we proposed developing and implementing forum theater in various communities. At that point, the Yellowknives-Dene First Nation joined us as one of our communities, and we moved forward as to how to get this concept of forum theater implemented in communities. So our approach to this has always been that we trained community members to be forum theater facilitators or jokers. And we've had a number of training sessions involving multiple communities. Participants have been involved in one or more of these, many of them in multiple training sessions over the last few years.
Since 2018, we've been working with community partners in Alberta and the Northwest Territories.
My first training session was, I believe, in July. We were at the U of A in Edmonton. There was a whole group of us from Frog Lake and also from Yellowknives First Nation.
The way it was introduced to me was playing the games. It was just fun and shaking everything off and opening a part of you that you may have forgot existed. In other words, like being a child.
Forum theater, to me, the first word that pops into my head is community. Well, we start off the forum theater in a circle. And like in the Indigenous communities, a lot of our ceremonies and practices are in a circle.
Forum theater gives individual youth, elders, community members the strength to face different oppressing topics.
To me, forum theater is a natural form of healing where you can come to it as a group or individuals, and it brings you together as one through laughter and touch, and you build on that, create a community.
So forum theater was something that was new to all of us, and I think the moniker of theater is a bit of a misnomer. Forum theater is a form of theater of the oppressed. It was developed by a Brazilian gentleman named Augusto Boal. And Augusto Boal was an activist, he was a teacher, and he was a dramatist. Augusto Boal has always described forum theater as a tree. So the soil is the economies, the worldviews, the politics, histories, culture, all the things that shape the perspectives and the lives of participants and their communities. The roots of the tree are all the images, words, and other sounds that emerge from this soil. And those form the basis of all the activities of forum theater. The base of the trunk are games. And this is what's made forum theater so amazingly successful in various communities, is that we just play games. And in playing games, we have fun and we laugh together and we start to come together as a community. Farther up the tree, we start getting into images. The images are things that we act out with our body that reflect different events in our lives. And then these images are further developed into a forum theater play. The participants, the community participants, put on a short play. It always ends on a note of conflict. They then put the play on again a second time, and during this second showing of the play, they encourage the audience to become further involved. So we call the audience in forum theater spect-actors, on the basis that they are not mere spectators to the performance, but they are also expected to take the role of actors and to influence the outcome of the play. And in doing all this, communities and community members collectively look at issues in their lives and come up with various solutions as to how those could be mitigated or made better. The person who oversees all the activities in the forum theater play is called the Joker. And the Joker is the one who's responsible for coordinating all of the activities that lead up to the play, including running the games and the image work. And then the Joker is also the person who encourages people to interact with the play and encourages people to work together to find collective outcomes to it.
Each experience is a huge learning one and is very eye-opening.
Because I think it's very important for personally, individually, it gave me strength to face my oppressions that I personally went throughout my life. And it gave me a different approach to, dealing with these issues that I have. And I strongly believe that we do give out these strengths to individuals so they can face their own oppressions.
What forum theater made me feel and think, I wanted to make other people feel and think too, because I feel like it's not out there enough for people to know about it, and it's just like a skeleton key, and your life is a big old house, and you can get through any door with that skeleton key.
We've built up to where we are. A lot of us came into this with no expectations and unsure of what was going to come out of it, but through the work there was always something that kept pulling us back to it, and it was like it was the need to keep growing.
Well, our community-trained facilitators have all actively taken forum theater and adapted it for what their specific communities needed. For example, in the Yellowknives Dene First Nation, we've introduced forum theater into the schools as a way of bringing the students there closer together and working together better. We've used it as part of training programs, after-school wellness programs, working on training with youth. We've used forum theater games as a way of bringing elders and youth together in intergenerational activities. And getting everybody to laugh together is certainly the best way of getting people to come together in a true spirit of having fun. The games increase in complexity and purpose, so we start off just having fun. We introduce games that require more cooperation. We introduce games that require more strategy. And we introduce games that require the participants to trust each other. And in doing this, we build a sense of community and relationality among participants.
Working with the Heart Lake community is always fun because it's always something different. They're a small community, so they're very close-knit. Well, in Frog Lake, we've done workshops at the culture camp at the school for both the junior, senior high, and the high school.
When you invite someone to a workshop, the kids aren't really interested because they're like, oh, it's a workshop, so it's just like school. When you explain forum theater, even if they give it a chance, it's just like, it's not a workshop. It's a place where they can just let loose and have fun and interact with their peers, maybe interact with someone they don't usually talk to.
I do less explaining and more through the body because it's easier that way for me as an individual to work with the people and to let them learn.
It's always exciting. Every group needs to be read individually, and you start with a plan, but you never stick with it because everything needs to be personalized, and you adapt it as you go, and you see the results as you're working, and it all happens right in front of you.
One of the most amazing things that's come out of Forum Theatre is that a number of our Forum Theatre facilitators decided to get together and to form a Forum Theatre facilitation team, which they call FLOW, for Forum Life of Wellness. And in doing so, they've particularly indigenized this activity to better suit their needs. One of the main things that's arisen from this is that they have decided that rather than having a single joker or facilitator, as is common practice in Forum Theatre, that they do group facilitation. And this is really much more aligned with community ideas and values on relationality and on not having one person be the star of all the activities.
It's nice to have a team because you have people for support, and sometimes it gets frustrating or difficult to talk in front of a big group of people, and you need your team to motivate you and like even just give you keywords or just push you along without overdoing it. Everyone brings different strengths, and as a team you accomplish more, you have more eyes out there. One of my favorite things about working as a team is it takes the pressure off you as an individual when you slip up or your mind goes blank, and you have the other people to fall back on and they cover your bases for you, because it's better to have more people keeping an eye on the group when you may be more focused on the facilitating part, and your team can really just be your extra eyes and, you know, point out if anything goes wrong or if there's anything extra that needs to be done or to take care of the safety.
We've also incorporated our culture quite a bit into it, our ways of being and our languages and intergenerational relations, which means a lot to me because those are holistic ways that we promote health in our communities.
We're doing things our own way, the way we live. Unknowingly, we made it into our own. In the beginning, it was a lot with the youth, because that's where our focus is the youth, because they're our future. But then realizing later too that the elders were an important component in this research project, I thought, well, you know, going to the elders is just like, the elders are the backbone of our community, of any community you go to. The elders, you know, we go to them for advice because they're so full of wisdom. And so we started to work with elders and the youth to bring both ends of life together to make a connection. And yeah, we just go to different communities and we look at the community we're going to be working with today and we make adjustments and we just flow.
Going to different communities, meeting the youth, meeting the elders, you know, in a way we are uniting the nation together. With this Forum Theatre, a lot of people show up, which is awesome. And I think what we do is a very positive influence on the youth, so they don't go out and get into any trouble. This is just one way to distract their mind. I strongly believe in it.
And we've incorporated Dene and our language, well, the Cree language.
When we do a workshop, we do our names and then maybe something that, you know, we like or a favorite color, and like just your name and a question. But instead now, like, we're introducing ourselves through our language and in our own way. In the Cree language, when you introduce yourself and your parents and where you're from. So I think that part is really important because that's how it's always been. Like, you introduce yourself and your parents because that's how people know who you are. So changes like that, they're small but they're big. It gave me courage in the moments that I needed it most.
It just helped me deal with my issues in a different way than I usually did. And I find that it works way better. I could walk away from different issues that I've had that I couldn't walk away now.
With myself, I didn't see it at first. I didn't even notice until one day I was just, I had a voice. Growing up, there was this big oppressor in my life, and he was scary. And so I always felt that I had no voice and that what I was thinking or feeling didn't matter. And so with this work, I was able to confront my oppressor and talk about it with that person and work over it and deal with it. I wouldn't have been able to do it before this work because I didn't have the tool, or I just wasn't able to. But working with the communities and in my team, it gave me a voice, and suddenly I wasn't that scared little girl no more, and it gave me power in my voice.
It helped me when I'm in school and I have to do presentations. Before it would be a struggle to even say my name in a circle or in a group just to say hi. And I feel like Forum Theater helped me break out of that, where I can at least say my name. But sometimes I can really get into it though, just because it's just interesting to learn and just see how it affects other people. It gives me a chance to help others. I can see when someone's shy, or because I was like that, and when I see someone break out of that in the Forum Theater, that makes me happy.
I see the difference we make right away when we're in Indigenous communities. You see the smiles on people's faces. You have parents come up to you, or teachers.
Forum Theater has brought me closer to the youth in my community, because I was connected to the youth through substitute teaching, but the difference between that and Forum Theater is I get to have fun with them. I get to play games with them. They get to see my fun side. When we did a workshop at Frog Lake School, I believe it was a youth night we did, and there were 2 people in there who someone had to say their name for them. And by the end of the 2 hours, I heard her speak. She was too scared to even say her name, but by the end she was laughing, and she wasn't so scared anymore. And she even spoke in the closing circle. That was nice.
I've never felt this close to my community as I did before, because it felt so distant, and that was no one's fault. But with this work, it just brought me closer to my people and my neighbors, and I just feel like this work is doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is uniting people.
For example, is this youth that was antisocial. She didn't want to do anything, but when she came to this workshop, we noticed that she was antisocial at first, but at the end, she was actually one of the ones really speaking out of everybody.
Forum Theater has brought us together in ways that I never thought possible. We introduced Forum Theater into a community and with a group of youth, or youth and adults, and we immediately see effects. Within a half an hour, even the most reticent of the youth are involved and playing and laughing and working together. Forum Theater has developed community within communities and between communities and academic researchers. It is such a powerful tool. Forum Theater can be transformative. When Augusto Boal described his tree, he described the last aspect of the tree as the fruits of the tree that fall to the ground and multiply. And this really refers to the contagious enthusiasm that all of our participants have for Forum Theater and the truly transformative nature of Forum Theater for many of the people involved.
Since we have brought this to the communities and worked with the communities and indigenized Forum Theater, it has really worked in our Indigenous communities. And I really see Forum Theater as a way of promoting mental wellness because of the way we've adapted it. It's built on our strengths and it brings everybody together.
In the beginning of life, when the baby is being formed in the mother's womb, no one is there to hold your hand but yourself. And so, where you once were in the beginning of life, you can get to again. Because, as you know, the trials of life bring you to a really lonely place. But that is where you have to be strong.